Hey folks out there, decided to make a video on something about, okay, you take feminism today, the men going their own way, Mgtow movement, blah blah blah, which, I'm very much a part of Mgtow movement, and Paul Elam and Mark Rudolph. I think they are good, intelligent men that if today's men would listen to them, you would get a heck of a lot further in life and you would avoid a lot of nightmares. Okay, my name is Earl. Okay, I'm bisexual. I like both men and women, but don't underestimate me. I've had more than my share of women, and I am not inadequate by any means. I am age 60. I've done pretty good in life. My house is paid for. I'm a master mechanic also. I've got 4 automobiles, do all the work myself. Even the latest computer technology on automotive. I've become pretty good at that. I haven't, moved up to the level of laptop software, to reflash PCMs. I'm not on that level yet, but I could. I just don't want to put that money into it. Okay, concerning Mgtow, at my age of 60, I would like to go back the stepping stones of what caused feminism today. A lot of it was caused by media. And it's actually men that cause this to occur. Such as, you take Women's Lib that was supposedly won. And Helen Reddy, she sings this song, I believe it's in 1972. I am woman, watch me stretch my arms from coast to coast. Excuse me. That is total bogus. Men had to give those women jobs back then, or those women couldn't have got jobs. Because the year 1970, on average, men were in authority at just about all 999,000 of every corporation or business out there. So men had to give those women jobs. They were given women's liberation. They didn't win it, it was given to them by men. And it was done because of marketing, to double the profits of marketers. Because women started receiving credit cards in the mail like around the year 1969. And they would send them credit cards in the mail. Back then you didn't have to apply for a credit card. Even as late as 1980, you didn't have to apply for a credit card. Montgomery Wards and Sears and Joskeys and Foley sent me credit cards that I never applied for in the 70s. Because they could just send you one. You either used it or you didn't. And they started sending these women credit cards. Well, see, this, based on the women, the way they like knickknacks and clothes, and a lot of women back then, wanting clothes that their husbands say, honey, we can't afford that. Just wear a regular blouse, a skirt, or, stretch knit pants, blah, blah, blah. Well, see, it gave them that opportunity. But it was only a matter of time, see, that those debts started accruing. Those women's butts had to get out and get jobs. I mean, it was just a matter of time or whatever. And now, let's focus on media. Here's some shows, some sitcoms that were on television. It was back in the early 70s that I saw or noticed where feminism was catching on or being taught to people, put into their minds, for example. And for some reason, nobody ever thinks about these. I haven't heard Paul Elam focus on this media psychology being used. But me at my age, I remember when the first time I was at my mom and stepdad's. We lived in the country in Romney, Texas. Okay, on our ranch. And we had a TV set on top of a long freezer, and this show came on, McMillan and Wife. Okay, this McMillan and my wife had Rock Hudson and Susan St. James. Susan St. James was a skinny, semi-short, average, early 20s, what I would call a babbling, mouthy type, you know, that runs her mouth. And then you got Rock Hudson. I don't know how tall he was, 6'6", hell, I don't know. But, you know, he was taller than the average guy, you know, or whatever. You know, and he had that look, or whatever. But anyway, in this program, here's what that plot was really about. Even though Rock Hudson played McMillan, he was a criminal detective that unraveled crimes and got them processed or executed or whatever. Okay, this mouthy Susan St. James, the suspects that they would want to question, she would start mouthing off to them, you know, with her stupid bubble brain mouth. And I have a word to describe those types, but I'm not going to use profanity because I'm not doing enabling age here. But anyway, these men would have to answer her questions. But see, here was the plot. Rock Hudson is standing back there looking at them, and he's like, if you don't answer her questions, I'm going to kick your ass. You know, the look was there. You could tell what the scenario was there, what was really going on. In other words, because pretend you're the guy that she's questioning and running her mouth up in his face. And imagine me saying, hey, look, bitch, get away from me. I don't have to answer your question. Oh, boy, what's going to happen? Then you got this tall Rock Hudson. It's like, you don't talk to my wife like that. Okay, he's going to punch him, right? So, I mean, that program, what it was, the media psychology of it was to make men be chumps, women's betters. See, and it's actually primitive, because what Rock Hudson was, you know, playing opposite to Susan St. James, he was her hound dog. Her hound dog goon, or you could say goon gorilla. And if you don't answer my questions, my gorilla will attack you. That's the reality of that. And people absorb that into their mind. You know, back then I was a 17-year-old boy, weighed about 145 pounds. I used to imagine myself in that situation, and I remember telling my stepdad, I said, if that really happened to me and some bitch walked up in my face and started babbling to me like that while that goon stood there, I thought, hey, I'd do my best, but I'd tell that bitch to get out of my face. The hell with her damn goon. I mean, you know, I'm a person of principle or whatever. Some ways I will not allow a person to humiliate, intimidate, or manipulate me. All right, now, I want to talk to you people about Mel Brooks and Mary Tyler Moore. That right there, people. See, that was aired before Charlie's Angels hit the air. That right there, nobody ever thinks about the great damage that happened there. Now, concerning Mel Brooks or Mary Tyler Moore, you people, if you happen to hear this, these are scripts that you followed for the purpose of your livelihood and your acting or whatever. And what I am doing is I am not disfaming you as a person. I'm giving my opinion on the character you played in this particular sitcom. And I have that right to my opinion. That is an American constitutional right. Now, pertaining to that program, okay, it shows Mary Tyler Moore and she's driving what looks to be a 71 or 72 Mustang Mach 1. I remember those cars. On a farm market road, she's looking around as she's driving. She goes into this city. You know, it looks like Chicago, possibly New York, Los Angeles, perhaps. And then she throws her hat into there. I'm gonna make it after all, you know, or whatever. Now, this woman, she was using psychology on girls that were in my age range back then, age range 18 to possibly 25. And it did catch on in America. It did catch on because I live in Houston, Texas, and did back in 74, and I saw how it did have an impact on the choices younger females made back then. But you notice how she lives in this apartment. Also notice how Mary Tyler Moore uses her middle name like Dick Van Dyke did when she previously, you know, aired in the show, The Dick Van Dyke Show. Now, I loved her character there. I thought that was beautiful because I was raised in a house similar to that, in that type neighborhood, and, you know, surroundings, you know, and that's beautiful. But anyway, the Mary Tyler Moore Show, okay, this was where the men would act like absolute stupid idiots. All they were doing is making a disgrace of men. And it showed to where females would roommate together in an apartment where this Mary Moore was or whatever, or her character that she played. And of course there's no children, there's no husbands. There you go, people, there you go. Because I remember when that show was popular back then, girls, every time I would meet a girl or other guys I knew, it was always the same story. They would always say, well, if I get to know you, I want you to get to know my other female roommate too, because she doesn't like for me to have guys over unless she knows who they are too. Every time I would meet any girl in a club or just anywhere, that would always be the follow-up, always be the case, every time. I mean, these are just some things I wanted to touch base on. Media psychology is what makes people, it programs them to do the things that they do. And you take Mel Brooks. You know, Mel Brooks wrote the script for the Mary Tyler Moore Show. That ugly old man, see what it is, he was jealous of men that had their chances with women. So he wanted to defile men, degrade men, or whatever. I don't know what else his purpose would have, because imagine a man writing a script for a show to be like that. I wouldn't write a script for a sitcom or a movie where men were made to look like absolute fools. I wouldn't do that. But these are just some things I wanted to touch base on. But guys, my advice to you, quit going to bars, quit going to clubs. Because see, when you go to nightclubs or clubs, you're playing in the feminist playground. Because see, that playground belongs to her. She calls the shots. Because you're supposed to have to buy her drinks. And if you don't buy her drinks, another guy is going to walk up right next to that same table when you have to go to the restroom and ask her, can I buy you a drink, baby? Well, okay, see, that puts everything in their ballpark. They're going to win like that, and they can choose which guys they want to do it with or not. And here's the cold truth. You know, there's an old saying, experienced man's advice. Put the money on the table, but don't give it to the prostitute until after you're through. Just let her see it, but don't give it. Don't give money for the merchandise. It's like you don't give money to a contractor to build a double wide driveway in front of your house before they build the driveway. No, no, no. They build that driveway first. You don't give them a percentage of the money so they can get surprised. No, no, no. Because that only means they're not legit and don't have the capital to begin with. You get the merchandise, then you pay. That's how the game works, people. Especially with amateurs. Don't spend a dime on a woman. Don't take her out to eat. Because every time you take a woman out to eat, she's only taking care of the sexual needs of the asshole that she's intrigued by that's not taking her out to eat. And you're feeding her so that she can share sexual intimacy with this other bozo. You're making a fool out of yourself. Don't pay for the merchandise until you get the merchandise. Then contribute or invest in that merchandise. Anyway, this is Earl, and I hope you all have a good day, and I hope I might have helped some of you. Later.